And welcome to Catholics Coast to Coast. I'm Ace McKay. Always glad when we get a chance to catch up each week. Hopefully you've had an amazing summer. So with school officially back underway, well, what are we doing to improve in our education of God's truth and also how we can apply it to our lives? As we dive into this week's Podcast Central, let's see what conversations are happening among some of our great shows and podcasts that you can subscribe to for future episodes and future encouragement. But first, getting a look at this weekend's readings from the Mass, let's check in with your word on the Word.
If you want to learn a thing or two about how to serve, just listen to this Sunday's readings.
The first reading talks about the Israelites serving God.
The psalmist praises the Lord.
The second reading is about husbands and wives serving each other.
And in the gospel, the apostles choose to serve Jesus even when everyone else has abandoned him.
So, shall we serve up the word on the Word now?
Sure.
We are going to focus on the first reading from the book of Joshua today.
Joshua assembles all of the leaders of Israel and poses to them a simple question. Who will you serve in the promised land? The one true God or other gods?
And they all choose to serve the one true God. But in the Old Testament, they fall short of that promise time after time.
Thankfully, God's mercy and love is unending. He forgives his people, but they still have to face the consequences for their actions.
This week, we challenge you to read Psalm 1. It outlines two ways that our choices affect us.
If you want to go a step further, ask yourself, who do you serve?
And catch us next week right here on EWTN.
Doodles.
Bye!
Great encouragement and better understanding of God's Word. If you want to check out more of the Word on the Word, easy to find at Podcast Central. Just go to EWTN.com/podcast. And while you're there, check out the latest from the BeatiDUDES as we talk about literally the statement we've heard of that God doesn't make mistakes. Well, he shares a story about his own mom and how her pregnancy was among that. It was a troublesome situation and something that others definitely were not ready to welcome Bill into the world, but he's here and he's sharing his story today of pain and humor as we get through the BeatiDUDES today on Catholics Coast to Coast.
Hello, BeatiDUDES, and welcome to another bonus edition of the BeatiDUDES, a podcast for Christian men seeking to grow in holiness while learning from each other, walking with each other, praying for each other. And so if you've been enjoying the show, I encourage you, reach out in the comments and tell us something you want us to pray for you about, and we'll lift you up. We try to be very intentional with all that, take care of everybody who's praying for us and supporting us. And
reach out and subscribe somebody.
That's it. Also share, like, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. But my name is Paul Coker, joined as always by my co-hosts Nick Besner.
Ooh, what's going on?
And Jeff Scheffelbein.
I'm wearing a shirt that has my name on the back just in case anybody's wondering who I am.
We're not into self-promotion around here. I'm also wearing a BeatiDUDES shirt that has one of three faces on it as mine. So, yeah, that works.
Jeff, it's not only your name.
What name
this
is longer, Saltamachia or Scheffelbein?
Ooh, that's
That ought to be one of your trivia questions.
Saltamachia has more syllables, so we'll go with that.
It's a beautiful country. I've visited there.
Well, and I ordered the salty macchia latte.
Nice. But we're back with none other than Jesuits alumnus of the, was it of the year?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Distinguished
alumnus, 2011. That's right. Bill Sladek, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, what does Sladek mean?
Keeper of the beer.
Keeper of it?
No, true story. We were in, I think, Vail. This was like 10 years ago, and a waiter came up. He was from the Czech Republic, and I had given him my credit card to pay for the bill, and he came back and he said, "By the way, your card's no good." So that was a separate issue. But but he said, Mr. Sladek, he said, "Do you know you have a very important name in Czechoslovakia?" And I said, "No." He goes, "It means keeper of the beer." So anyway.
There's this old song called Keeper of the Stars, this country song from the 90s, and I'm singing in my head like, I tip my hand to the keeper of the beer.
Yeah.
See, you didn't think I would know the answer to that question. That was a trick question.
No,
I do not.
You're very
sharp. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. So you have no idea if that's true, but you can go check and see if it means keeper of the beer.
I believe you.
All right.
Circle gets the square. I get a point.
Okay.
Nice.
So, Christopher, if you'll make sure to record that point.
Thank you.
But we're back. I think we're getting to learn a little bit more about your family, if I'm not incorrect.
Where did you come from?
Yeah. How did you find your way to this place we call Earth?
Well, I actually had a rather interesting story of how I came to be. My parents were, I guess my dad was born in 1910, my mom was born in 1913. So they were 50 and 47 when I was born. In December of 1959, my mom wasn't feeling particularly well, and so she went into the doctor for, to kind of have it checked out. And, again, the diagnostic technology is very different back then, and the doctor said, well, you have a tumor, and so we need to perform a hysterectomy. And so my mom had 4 children. At the time, she had 2 prior miscarriages and a ruptured tubular pregnancy. And so she had a difficult health history with pregnancies. And she said, well, is it emergency or can I come back in January after the holidays? Because, again, I had 4 siblings. And he said, no, you can come back in January. So she goes back in January. And he said, well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is you don't have a tumor. The bad news is you're pregnant. And at your age and with your history, you cannot and should not keep this child. And so he was going to schedule a hysterectomy because, again, this was pre-Roe, and so abortion was not legal, but they were going to chart it differently. And my mom said, God doesn't make mistakes. So she literally put her life at risk to have me. So kind of a funny story from that, my sister, one of my 4 siblings, was graduating that year in 1960 from Ursuline. Okay. So my mom goes to my sister's Ursuline graduation, 8.5 months pregnant with me. I was born June 7th of 1960, and so the Ursuline graduation was late May. So they sat my mom and dad in the main drive at Ursuline and parked an ambulance next to them in case my mom went into labor during the graduation. So they did get special seating out of it.
Yeah.
I guess that was kind of the interesting thing. But the way God works, so my lovely bride of 40 years, Mary, has a somewhat similar story. Mary's biological mother died of bone cancer when Mary was 4 months old. She had been diagnosed several years before, had actually had an amputation, and when she got pregnant with Mary, she said, this is I'm leaving this earth, but this is a gift that I can leave behind. And Mary actually found a letter, or someone in her family found a letter that her mom wrote while she was pregnant that talked about that. And so Mary, went through all sorts of, when she was born and was just a little baby, went through, withdrawals from medicines and things like that, because they were giving pain meds and stuff to her mom. But, in one world, this pro-abortion world we live in now, in one world, neither one of us should be here. Yeah. And we've always, my mom always would say that God brought us together for a purpose. And so it's one reason why we are and always will be so passionate about being pro-life. Because my mom's words echo in my head all the time. God doesn't make mistakes, right? And so it's for us, it just kind of defines everything we do. We're here for a purpose. However long God wants us to be here, He brought us here for a reason. And so I don't want to waste the gift of my life that He gave us or gave me.
First of all, that's outrageously powerful, and in a time when people didn't have any of the technology that we have now to be able to know a lot of what was real and what was possible. So that's a faith story and a story of love. the Saint socks that we gave you on the last show, the Saint Gianna Molla, you know this story where she was basically told that the baby was going to kill her, so they needed to abort, and she didn't, and now you have a saint whose daughter is still alive and living in this beautiful world. And I think about all of the legacy, not of just what you and Mary have accomplished, which we heard on the last show, is not small, but even if it was just that you were a janitor, it would be a life of dignity and a life worth having, worth loving, worth giving opportunity to. But it continues. I mean, y'all have how many children together?
Well, we have 5 total. We have an angel baby. Mary miscarried after our first 3, and then we had our daughter Maddie. So we have
5.
5 total, 4 that are with us here, and 1 that's praying for us in heaven.
All of which would have been severed for either side's, decisions or pressure. And I can't imagine that.
And by the way, I can say this now because I've been freed of it. We're expecting a grandchild.
Yes.
So our daughter Maddie, who's our youngest, is due January 23rd of 25. So she's 16 weeks along.
Yeah, Big Daddy. Look at you, Grandpa.
No, Pops. Yeah.
Is that where you're going with?
Don't call me Grandpa.
You going with Pops?
Yeah, I'm going with Pops. Well, Mary wanted Lolly for her and Pop for me, so Lollipop.
Really? Wow.
That's awesome.
You can get all dressed up for the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Big giant lollipop. We're debating about, should it just happen organically, like whatever.
Yeah.
And we're Maddie's having a girl, so whatever our granddaughter chooses to call us. But it's like, no, I'm calling my shot. I'm going to be Pops.
Yeah, you got to watch out with those because then they say something cute, but that's off, and everybody's like, "That's so cool," and you're like, "I'm not Crappa. I'm something else."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, my grandmother's first cousin, so like great aunt, I guess is what that would make her for me. She, her first grandchild called her Kiko.
And it's just
that is what she has still known by all of the cousins and everything. So.
Just tell everybody it means Hawaiian princess.
There you go. It does. Yeah, kind of has that ring to it. Yeah,
just go with that.
What if he called you Beer Keep, or your granddaughter called you Beer Keep?
Then I would change beer from keep. Pops. Yeah.
Hey, beer
as long as she's not saying "get me a beer." That's right. At least until she's 21.
There you go.
Congratulations, brother. That's incredible.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's we're of the vintage, us, not you guys, that a lot of our friends have grandkids. And, some of them are kind of scoreboard, and it's like, I'm having my 10th, and I'm like, shut up. And so, at least we're joining the club. So,
that's fun. Awesome.
We are very excited about it.
It's beautiful.
To go back, first of all, all of us are excited for this. To go back to kind of Mary's folks and your folks, did they face, outside of the hospital part where somebody's trying to convince you to do this thing, did they face public ridicule or shame or family shame for being late 40s and having a baby, or in the middle of a bone issue and still going through with this? Did they face that, or do you think they had supportive networks?
I think particularly for Mary's mom, there may have been a little bit of that, just because, again, she had one leg amputated.
Yeah.
Sort of, why are you having kids now?
Yeah.
But again, it was beautiful because it was a gift, that she could leave behind. I think with my parents, what was interesting was, like once I got into school and then was at grade school and Jesuit, my parents were significantly older than everybody else's parents, and so it was. I mean, there were really wonderful aspects to that because my dad had a series of heart attacks, and so he actually retired when he was 57. So I was only 7 years old, and it ended up being wonderful in one sense because we would take summer trips. We'd go for 2 months, or we'd go out to California, wherever, and so my dad was always present, and that was unusual for that generation.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That generation, it was about work. And so I really feel like I benefited. Now, I lost my dad when I was only 29, died in 1990. My mom lived to be 95. And really up until about the last 4 or 5 months, was just my mom. She's a saint. I mean, I'm just going to declare it. I'll call the Pope later, but was just one of the most wonderful. Everybody that met her, she just made you feel so special, and she had that all the way up until really the last few months. She died on New Year's Day, 2009.
Okay.
And so she lived to be 95, and she really wanted to make 100, but didn't quite get there. But so we were really blessed to have her. Like I said, my dad just, he had so many health issues. So I was only 29 when he passed. But having older parents was different. It was harder for my dad to do athletic sports type things, just in part because of his heart condition, but also just because he was older. And so that part of the relationship was different, but to have him present always was really cool. I mean, I just benefited from that, and it really impacted in how I wanted to parent, to be. When I was a young attorney, I didn't control my schedule a lot, but I kind of bowed up and I told, the partners I was working for, I'm coaching my kids.
Yeah.
And so I coached everything. It was just at least, a way to spend time with them. And, I'd work nights, get up in the morning, whatever, to make that work. But that time was just really so important to be able to be with them. And I really got that from my parents because that was my experience.
And you got up at 2:30 back then, so you could get the extra hours in.
Well, that is when I really stuck, because that was back when I was running a lot.
Yeah.
And so, to get a long run in, I don't know if I got up at 2:30. It was probably more like 3:30 or 4, but still it was early.
And I'm going to go back to like your birth, Mary's birth. Even people that were doubters or like, come on, are you really going to go through with all this? It's something different when you get to see the child and then the child growing up, that I think that plays on a person's heart and softens their views. And you talk about, like, you might not be the one who goes up to somebody and says, do you know Jesus? But a lot of times it's the way your mom and Mary's mom lived that caused people to question purpose and Jesus and like natural, like, who are we called to be kind of questions that you don't have to say anything. It's just that she chose to have life. Mary's mom chose to have life at a time when it would have been very easy to code it differently and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, it's what is it, St. Francis that's at least quoted to say, preach the gospel always and use words when necessary. Mm-hmm. So I think how you live, because there are a lot of people we know out there that talk a game, right? And they'll wear it on their sleeve and they'll tell you, how special and spiritual they are.
They might wear a shirt with their picture and their name on the back.
Yeah, well, I know somebody like that, but there are people that do that, and then they live a life that's completely contrary to what they claim to believe.
It kills the message.
Yes, and so the authenticity is so important. And I really, my mom was a spiritual hero for me. I mean, her faith she was a early Catholic convert when, back in the 1920s, against the wishes of her parents, but she converted to Catholicism, and it was everything to her, because she really, in her mind, I guess, had to, I don't know if earn it's the right word, but she chose it, and it was hard to make that choice. And so that was impactful to me as well. I mean, I'm a cradle Catholic, right? So I've grown up with it. And as I've matured, I'm more proactive in my faith than when I was younger, because it's just all I knew when I was growing up, right? Now I make a choice every day to be Catholic, and that's one thing about the Congress we were talking about on the prior episode. That's one of those times it was just so awesome to be Catholic. Yeah. And it's never not awesome, but there's degrees.
We got
of
to be
awesome.
the cool guys in town that day.
No, I mean, it was, and just to walk the streets and see nuns and priests and everybody with our orange lanyards. You knew why they were there, and it's just, it's. Now I get to choose it. It was chosen for me, but now I get to choose it every day, every single day.
Well, I want to give you a sincere compliment. We've had some people on here that wrote books that have been transformative in my life, like Andres Whittemer. We've had people on here that have been, as major speakers in the Catholic Church. I think is somebody like Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. I mean, there's just been people on here that Amanda knows this, my wife knows this, that I would call my heroes, because it's not the celebrity actor. It's the person who's living that genuine faith, no matter what their craft is. And before I knew who you were, I was so intrigued because I had heard about Bill Sladek. Then I got to know you specifically. I think I met you at the first YCP gala. I feel like I was sitting there talking to you there. And then I was very fortunate to just be around at different times or at meals, and then it got further and further. And I say this without any reservation whatsoever. You're an absolute hero of mine. I've been saying this forever. I cherish the witness that you are for all of us. And I don't know, maybe when I get to be old like you, I can be just like Bill Sladek. It was sincere, guys.
I don't know. You're doing a pretty good job already.
Getting old?
Well, getting old, yeah. Well, it beats the alternative, as they say.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah. I'm into that. Yeah. The bags under my eyes have bags under their eyes, and that's why we are going to wrap the show up. I'm getting old.
That's why.
Yeah. I can't stay awake very long. No, Bill, what a blessing. Huge fans of you. And I think you blessed the BeatiDUDES nation with this series of shows.
Absolutely.
Well, I was watching, I must confess, I watched, just to prep for this a little bit, some episodes. And on one of them, you talked about you were sweeping this room and that the BeatiDUDES, and it had swept almost to Nick. So I'm thinking, because you said sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
We're talking about BeatiDUDES Nation. So
sweeping the tiny table.
Swept all the way to Nick.
We made it. We made it. Look at this. I can reach all the way out
there. It is.
Oh,
it happened.
Ding.
Ouch. Idiot.
If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, you just missed one.
I think it's awesome, and I think we got to put together a playlist of Culture of Life guests.
Story. Oh my goodness,
we've got them. There's,
sure.
I know there's more out there, but
no, but we've got 7 or 8 guests.
So many
least.
now.
Yeah.
That, it's just cool.
Well,
I appreciate
those are the stories that need to be told, because we have to change the culture.
Yep.
Right. That's the only way we're going to win this pro-life battle, is to change the culture.
All right, friends. Well, we will see all of you at the next life event. And in the meantime, we will
see you in the Eucharist.
God bless us.
A great reminder that God doesn't make mistakes, and you are here for a reason. The BeatiDUDES helping us to find humor in the midst of our pains. Always great to find full conversations when you go to EWTN.com/podcast or subscribe wherever you like to listen. That way you don't miss future episodes. I am Ace McKay. When Catholics Coast to Coast returns, we're checking in with To Become Family, as today Renzo is talking about the issues when it comes to the concept of time and how we are slow to learn in apologizing well. So let's get to that as we check in with To Become Family, coming up next on Catholics Coast to Coast.
The destination for great Catholic audio programming is EWTN Podcast Central, featuring the best of EWTN radio, as well as faith-filled podcasts from our friends and affiliates across the nation, all in one place, all free. If it's central to the faith, you can find it on EWTN Podcast Central. It's like podcast heaven. Visit EWTN.com/radio/podcasts today.
You're listening to Become Family, a podcast aimed at restoring confidence in marriage and family life. And mic check, mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
Welcome to Become Family. We are our hosts, Renzo and Monica Ortega. And the new tagline we've been trying to go with, I guess I just changed it, is that we're trying to bring the human side of Catholic marriage. And by that, we mean the human aspects of our relationship that fall into the realm of like human formation versus spiritual formation. This is not a podcast where you're going to hear about our prayer lives per se, or like the spirituality of marriage, theology of marriage.
It'll be peppered in there sometimes, I bet.
Like, right, it'll be peppered.
Peppered.
It'll be like
seasoned.
Yes, it'll be the seasoning. It won't be the main like dish,
There we go.
right?
Yep.
But it'll be there because like our spirituality or Catholicism is like it's integrated into everything we do.
And informs all the things.
Yes, but like the human part. But we're gonna talk about. Well, so I don't know when I saw this. I think it was. Was it before or after? Oh, okay. This is where we're starting.
Okay.
Packing to go to Canada for 5 kids, and
for
us,
10 days
for us and 5 kids, and there's we didn't know if there was laundry there. There wasn't. Just all the things. You can imagine how difficult that is, and we did that, and then we packed again over there to come back, and we did a pretty good job of packing everything up and getting to the car, but there was one casualty.
One casualty.
What was that casualty?
Your pillow.
My neck pillow.
Your neck pillow.
Well, it's not a neck.
Your
It's like my
memory
Tempur-Pedic,
foam,
like-
Tempur-Pedic special side sleeper pillow that helps keep your back aligned because you have a back injury.
Yes.
And so
And we forgot it.
we that's the polite way to say it. I forgot it.
The way it worked out. So Monica's very patient because when there's things happening, there's times where she just needs to trust. Like she's like, because it would take more effort to explain to her what I'm thinking,
Yes.
than to just do the thing. So there's times where she's just like, just go.
So I just back off and I wait for my instructions.
So my instructions were: go get the car, take the oldest with you, get the car, bring
Carry it
many
as much
things
as we
you
could.
can, and I'm gonna load as much as I can onto the trolley. And I did. I loaded a ton onto the trolley.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun trying to make sure. Like
While you had the other 3 with you.
Right.
Yeah. 4.
4. I had 4.
You had 4 kids.
And then
We didn't leave any. We didn't leave any children there.
You'd think like the kids would be like, "Hey, hold the door for me. Press
No.
the button." No.
We
We were on with another woman who only spoke French, which is great. We're trying to get onto the doors open to the elevator.
Not the trolley.
And
We weren't all
immediately-
riding on the trolley.
Or the trolley's full. Oh, the doors open to the elevator. The French woman's like, "Wow, there's a lot of humans." And then so the kids immediately run in and not to like the opposite side of the stranger they don't know.
No.
But like they squeeze in on her. And I was like, "Kids," I was like, "Ortega's this side." So they do that. But as I point, the Cheerios fall out of the trolley and the water bottles fell out of the trolley that you found later in the hallway.
I did find the water
And I was just like, as things fall out, and she's like, and the lady in French is like, "Oop, Cheerios." Like, you really speak English or pretending. And so I was like, "It's fine." She didn't know what I was saying. Crazy Americans. So then I just pushed the trolley in, and then like I picked up the Cheerios, left the water bottle, who just scattered everywhere. And the kids like they think it's hilarious, and they don't understand how like I'm
in the zone. I'm stressed
but I'm also like embarrassed because it's like I clearly don't have it together. So like for another thing to happen that it's just more like, yeah, things are not going well.
Yeah.
Then we get down there, and then I don't know where then you parked. I was so frustrated. This is gonna lead to the title of the thing eventually, but I was so frustrated because you parked.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. And I was like, all right, kids, go in.
Yes.
Go to you so they can get in the car and not get wet because it's raining.
It's raining. The rain has met us in Quebec.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get everything packed in the car because also we didn't have a lot of trunk space.
No.
So
rented an SUV.
So I was like, all right, I'm trying to do this really quickly. And I opened the trunk and you had put the other stuff in the trunk. I was just like, I have to move this. I was so mad. But I didn't give clear instructions of like keep the trunk empty because like then I had to pull it out and then that stuff's getting wet while I'm putting other things in there. So like it was just and
we disagree on what things belong in the trunk and what things belong.
Because Monica goes for caring for children and I'm going for like let's optimize the amount of space we have, and I don't care if people can't reach things. Like they'll figure out how to get to it. You're like, well, no. The snacks have to go on top.
And the activities and
their pencils. I don't care about their pencils. I'm getting wet.
Fine. We just watch movies the whole way back. It's
But
fine.
right, well, that's another thing. Like we were
That's your solution. You're like, just put on another movie.
on our way there to Canada. You wanted to bring schoolwork, and I was like, babe, there's no way we're fitting another backpack in the trunk.
And did I argue?
No, I'm just saying that
I trusted. I trusted.
I'm
just highlighting. I'm highlighting the depth of my trust for you by showing how we do things differently.
You follow me blindly. It's a Michael Scott quote. What episode? And then so as I'm getting wet and I'm trying to figure out how to pack everything in, and the kids are in there, and I'm throwing sleeping bags, like, put this under your seat. It's like just shoving things on them. I said to you, like, you and the oldest, can you go to the room and do a sweep?
Yes.
And you went to sweep.
I went to sweep. And I found the water bottles in the hallway.
Yeah.
And
those are right at you got out. There's no way you could miss those.
I tripped over them as I got out of the elevator. No, I'm just kidding.
How did you get them? Did you put them in a bag?
No, I put them back in the bag that they were in.
Okay.
I had to like change their angles so that they didn't fall back out.
That's impressive.
And then the
French lady made me, the Canadian lady made me nervous.
And then I went back into the room and I found a basket of towels and the swim
that.
diaper
thing.
thing. The swim diaper, no, the floaty thing, the floaty swimmy thing. And something else on the counter. I forget what it was. And then we looked under the beds, under the couch. We laid on the floor and did the sweep. And we went out to the car. We carried our things. We're like, we're good to go. Let's do this. And then when we got back and unpacked. Friday night.
And it was nighttime, bedtime.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I don't have my pillow.
I don't have my pillow. Did you pack my pillow? And I was like, I think I did. Let's check the garage. Because also we had to unload the car super fast into the garage because it's raining. Mm-hmm. But we had to return the rental that night so we didn't get charged for another day. And also had to swap all the car seats and stuff. So I was in the rain. So I was like, maybe it's in the garage. And I don't remember unloading it. It was not in the garage.
No. And you know what you did as soon as you realized that you did not sweep and didn't pack the pillow? You just said, I'm sorry. And then that night, and you just said, I'm sorry. I was like, okay, I forgive you.
Yeah.
What can we do? That stuff happens. And then that night, I found an Instagram video kind of explaining how we used to argue about stuff. Not we used to, we still do.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because in this situation it didn't happen. But I know there's times when we argue that all I want to hear is just you apologize and acknowledge the thing you're apologizing for.
Yes.
And a lot of times I don't. And I think what typically happens is more of I don't know what you do. I just know I don't get the apology.
That you
what
want.
do you, I don't know what you do, but because we've done this with our oldest too, of can you just say you're sorry?
Yes.
Because I think I get over things pretty quickly once you say you're sorry.
I think what I've done in the past is my first sentence is it was so stressful and we were going so fast. I'm sorry. And then you should have told me you forgot you didn't bring down the pillow. I'll throw in the apology, but there's usually some sort of excuse or explanation.
Because usually what'll happen
of the scenario.
You rewind, so say the pillow scenario, rewind it 2 years.
Yes.
I think it could have been you forgot my pillow.
Yes.
You do whatever you were saying, and then we would then have a 32 hour and a half discussion. Yeah. I apologize wholeheartedly because a lot of that is my fault. But a lot of it is trying to I'm trying to understand your thinking.
Yes.
And I've said that to you. I was I'm trying to understand what you're saying and where you're coming from.
You ask a lot of why questions.
Yes, because I'm I don't think this way. So I need to understand why you think this way. But
you'll be why did you not check the bed? Why did you you'll ask a lot of why questions, and I'm I don't know. I wasn't thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with this scenario, I feel it was different because I was oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I didn't do as good a job as I should have, or I didn't look carefully. You didn't even see
and you didn't apologize that way. You just said you're sorry. Cause I don't like when you apologize, but then put yourself down. Cause that's not, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking to be I wasn't a good looker. I should have been a better hot, cold looker. I don't care.
I don't agree with that.
I don't.
I disagree.
About what?
You often want me to tell you what I'm sorry for.
That's different than putting yourself down.
Okay.
Like you could say, like, I'm sorry I didn't look on the bed. As opposed to like, I'm sorry I didn't do a good enough job. Like, nope, not looking for that.
Gotcha.
Because those are two different things.
I
Because
see.
like, it's not
I
like
see.
you did a bad job. You just didn't look on the bed.
Yes.
But
I even did look on the bed because that's where the basket was. That's the thing that frustrates me. It just didn't register in my brain as like,
the floral cover didn't stick.
maybe it was like under the blanket. I don't know. Like it did not register to me to like look
Yeah.
for the,
But like,
anyways.
I just know that in the past, and other couples on Instagram said like they wanted us to talk about this because like I'm assuming they struggle with this too.
So you saw a reel.
I
that
saw a
night.
reel, and then basically the people were saying that like I want the person who was wronged, right? So like in this scenario, the person whose pillow was lost was like, I just want you to acknowledge what you did wrong, and not like just acknowledge your part in whatever this disagreement is, and then the other person, the person who did not look for the pillow on the bed, says that like they're nervous about acknowledging it and dwelling on it because then they're nervous it's going to become a big discussion.
Yeah.
And
Because they feel a lot of shame and they feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And so by like, they just want to like rush through it and like they'll apologize, but like do it quickly and maybe not show all sincerity or show like how sorry they are because they want to like rush past it because they know what a big mistake it is. But the person who lost their pillow doesn't necessarily know that you know that.
Right.
Like that's the problem is like you don't like I don't know how knowledgeable you are of this situation of like the thoroughness of this.
Well, and it's interesting because I think the pillow provided seems like such a dumb
It's
discussion.
like good timing.
It provided such a good like because you know how important that pillow has been for my neck. And
yes,
listen, things are so messed up. Like hands are going numb sometimes. Like it was just it's not.
Yes.
So like I need a
this is like
specific
you
type of
need
pillow.
this pillow, and I forgot.
So like for you to be able to like there wasn't no arguing of like, well, it's not a big deal. Like you like, all right, it's a big deal. It was my job to look for it. Darn it, I'm sorry.
I started looking at what stores had them. So
No, but I really, but I
How
really
fast can we
appreciate
get
it.
one?
I appreciated in the scenario that you were just able to just say you're sorry, and I think, and please correct me and push back if I'm putting like painting myself in a very like flowery light, I guess. But I think for
Flowery,
most
like
things,
the-
I
like the
would
pillow
like
cover?
the pillow. I think for most things when I get upset, like just you being able to articulate like what upset me about a specific thing and just saying you're sorry is like enough for me to be like, okay.
I guess that's what I meant by the explanation. So what I have not perfected yet, but I'm working on is the like how to acknowledge. So because you don't want just I'm sorry. So I know that you said I'm
Yes.
sorry, but that's not how it went. Like I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't get the pillow and I was the one that was supposed to do the sweep. Like
I'm pretty
know
sure it was more like, I'm sorry.
Well, that was my first, definitely. And then like acknowledging like, shoot, that was my responsibility. And I didn't like, I know that was part of it. So maybe just you witnessing my first reaction was enough for you in this scenario. But there's definitely been times where I will try to apologize for what I'm sorry for. And you'll still ask like the why questions because you want to like
Understand if you're sorry for the
right
thing
thing.
I'm actually upset about.
Yes, versus the thing you think I'm upset about.
Well, and I think because of your codependency, I think you're willing to apologize for anything to make it go away.
Yes,
So I kind of
that's fair.
so like I'm in. Don't just yeah.
Yeah, like don't just speed through this. Like let's actually repair the situation in the best way possible. So, but I do think, yes. So I think that in this reel, at least, it was saying like to make sure that you apologize and to acknowledge what part you played in the scenario that required an apology. And how like validating that is for the person receiving the apology. And then, but it was just an interesting thing because it gave the perspectives from both sides of like, this is why sometimes I don't say what I'm sorry for, or maybe I try to like defend myself or give you, I forget what episode we had talked about, like the difference between an excuse and an explanation. Oh, it's an ADHD episode. But I feel like that those two definitions can be helpful in this scenario too, where like you apologize for the thing that you did wrong. And then when when the person asks the why questions, you can explain, because that like is giving like the inside information of what the scenario was, instead of making excuses for why what you did was okay, because then it negates or backpedals your apology.
Interesting. I would say that, like, again, I think when I ask, first, I wanted to say a couple things as you were talking.
Thank you for not interrupting.
The first one was, I think it takes a lot of trust for you to be able to apologize, acknowledge things that are wrong, and like trust that I'm not going to then use that as ammo to shame you even more.
Yes.
And I think that takes.
So that's important. That has to be there first. Yeah.
And then I forgot the third thing, but this thing is, I think that when I start asking the why questions, I wonder if, like, within our discussion, you could then ask me why I'm asking the why questions. Because a lot of times it's because I don't think I'm not understanding your thinking. I think this is part of my ADHD, actually. I'm not understanding what you're thinking, and I don't know how to get you to understand me. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm trying to, like, all right, where are you coming from, to see, like, where's the disconnect of our two thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and sometimes I wish you would just explain yourself instead of asking me why.
What do you mean?
Like, just explain to me what you want.
Can you give an example of a fight? We have a lot of arguments too. I know we have a podcast. We have probably as many arguments if we have episodes per day.
No.
But
yes.
Does that make sense? Like, I can't think of one right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna, like, in the past, let's say, like, let's rework this pillow scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't go as well as it went this time, which is like, high five, by the way. That one. Actually, I'm pretty sure at the end of the evening, we're like, that went well.
That went really well. We handled that great.
That was good. There's a new pillow coming.
But that wasn't until the next day. We didn't order it that night. We were just like...
Well, you didn't know which one you wanted. So we wanted to go to the stores.
We just owned it.
I gave you my pillow.
You did. It was
from
not
under
good
my
enough.
head. It's like this shirt off my back. Here's the pillow from under my head.
Not good enough.
Not that...
Would have taken the shirt. You're 5.
All the jokes that are in my head staying there. Okay, so in the past, I think you would have asked questions like,
interrogated your pillow. No, your like room
my
sweeping
sweep.
skills.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like, did you even look at the bed? Why didn't you check under the blankets? Or like just you would have asked different questions. And the answer for a lot of them is, I have no idea. If I knew, then I would have had the pillow. Like, it was
but I see, I feel like I would have only asked those in response to, like, sorry I didn't get the pillow, but, like, why didn't you pack it onto the thing?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or, like, why didn't you? And, like, I would have felt...
Or what? No, I don't think I've ever done the, like, why didn't you? But it would have been more of an explanation on my part of, I was going so fast.
No, it would have been like, sorry, I love you. But I think you tend to assume.
Okay.
It would be like, I thought you put it on with your stuff. Or like, I thought
I didn't even think of the pillow.
This is a hypothetical pillow scenario that didn't go as well. Let's cause a real fight after we did great on the first one. But does that make sense? Like, I think that's happened where you'd be like, oh, I thought
yes,
blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And then I start, like, analyzing your thinking.
Yes. It could have been like, I saw all the sleeping bags and the other pillows. So I thought you had grabbed all of those.
Yes.
I would. Okay. Yes. I could have said something like that.
See, I can write in your tone. I can write in your voice.
Yeah. And then therefore my apology definitely loses a lot of its credibility because I took some of the responsibility off of myself and put it on you, the one without the pillow.
It's still my pillow. And I guess, like, I would be asking why to get your thinking. But I think if in this faux pill scenario, I'd be like asking why to get to the root of you don't give a crap by my pillow.
You don't care about me and my neck.
That's
I want you to say it out loud. Tell me you don't care about my neck.
They'd be like, did you look on the thing? I didn't look on the bed. Do you understand how important this is to me? We would be talking for an hour and a half, and you're like,
so long.
I didn't realize this mattered this much to you. You can have every pillow on the bed.
You already do. I only have one.
Don't give away my secrets.
I have
But right, does that? But like,
Yes.
is that accurate to? Yeah,
Yes.
like, and then that's why we would talk for so long.
Yes. And then that's why apologies just didn't go well, because both sides were like, one is belaboring the point and one is not getting to the point. Like just apologize for the thing that you screwed up on.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the person does that, like apologizes and acknowledges, like, you know what they're sorry for, then you have to like swallow that and be like, I accept your apology.
You know another good example?
Yes.
Tell
me.
No, you don't.
I don't actually.
You know another good example. So say hypothetically this never happened.
Never.
You said to me,
why are you about to draw a picture?
I was going to just write to keep myself focused.
Okay.
You said to me, I'm going to be back home by 3 p.m. Okay.
This has never happened before.
I'm going to be home by 3 p.m. And then like 3:05 happens.
My chest hurts right
like,
now.
And I'm like, are you coming? And then like you get here like 3:15, whatever. And I just have a hard time with that.
Yes.
Okay, this is 100% my ADHD. I'm sorry, I have to get checked. Like I don't, for some reason, like you say this time,
tardiness.
Like, it's not
it's
tardiness.
not tardiness.
I'm tardy all the time.
Yes,
it's like such. Sorry, this is like this is off topic, but like
it's not though, because this is probably the source of the majority of our disagreements when it comes to apologizing and belaboring the point. So this is a good example.
So like, yes, this
hypothetical never happened situation.
But like like a hair appointment one time, like you go and like, when it should be done? Oh, it'll take an hour and a half. Like even if you exaggerate, like, it'll take 2 hours. Like okay, if for some reason it takes longer, like I have like it's like suddenly I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Like everything changes. I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
Where the kid's supposed to go. Are we supposed to be eating right now? Like everything changes.
Somebody died. Like you go worst case scenario.
No, it's not. No, but like I think that's where my rational brain goes. Like this isn't as it ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because what changes that is if you send a text like, hey, I'm 15 minutes late, like suddenly like, okay, we can breathe. It's such a weird thing. I don't know.
Yes.
So like there's been times where like,
and the worst is when I'm in scenarios where like she's blow drying my hair.
Right,
I can't get my phone.
You can't send you text. No, I know. And we've gotten better about this. Like I've gotten better about it. But there's been times where like you either send the text late or you don't get it or I don't get it or whatever. And like I've struggled with like, well, why didn't you estimate correctly? Or like, why didn't you this? And honestly, if you could have just, I think an apology of just like, I know this is a thing you struggle with. Like, I don't know why I struggle with it. I'm sorry you struggle with this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe that I would accept the apology?
No, I do not.
Why? Well, this is...
Because you've gone to a haircut 100 times, Monica. You should know how long it is.
I don't know. I don't understand women's hair. It could because you've gone to this, like, all I'm doing is getting a little bit off. I'm just getting a little bit, like, they're just going to cut a little bit and they're going to wash. And, like, it'll take this
and
long.
then I decided to get bangs.
But no, but, like, sometimes it takes, like, an hour. Other times it's an hour and a half, hour 45. You're like, where did you go? Why are you talking about Sorry. Which is fine. If that's what you're going to do initially, say hour 45. We could do it. But, like, you tell me an hour.
I'm just guessing.
That's such a
it's true, though. Like, yes. I've also learned to like preface that by saying it usually takes this amount of time, but this may happen. And I like give a scenario, a more likely scenario of what could make me later. So I sometimes say that.
So my question to you.
Mic check, mic check.
No, my question to you. We may have had mic issues in between the last thing she said and now, but we're good. We're good to go.
Okay. It's not
skippity dippity.
Skippity dippity.
No, I can tell.
Okay.
Want me to listen to it?
I do. I'm so nervous.
Follow me blindly.
Okay. What is your question?
What was? this is the worst. We're transparent. Monica, we were recording great, and then it was skipping for the last 10 minutes, so we have to re-record those 10 minutes. So it's very hard.
Good things.
You said good things. So like what you were saying was, okay, so we did the haircut scenario.
Yes.
And how did we go from like where we started arguing about that early in our marriage to being able to like
haircut, meaning like just timing of things, like not picking the right time.
Yes.
That I'm going to be home.
We don't argue about it in the same manner. Correct. Or if we do, I feel like it's a little bit more.
It's a lot quicker.
To the point.
Yes.
Yes.
So how did we get from how we used to argue about this to now? Okay. So I think the first thing was practicing how we talked to one another. So not even going into like
how we talked.
Yes.
Or how I talked.
Okay, I was trying to be nice.
Nope. Don't do it. Brutally honest. I needed to speak nicer.
But like working on, being more gentle and kind with how we spoke to one another.
We?
How you spoke to me.
Thank you. I'm sorry for all the things.
Being less blunt and checking your tone and things like that. I think I sometimes would ask to like, can we talk about it in a little while? Because I know for me, when I am met with confrontation, my brain kind of shuts down and I don't really answer the way I want to answer even. Like it's not necessarily like reasonable or thought out. So there'd be times where I would just say the first thing that comes to my head. And it could be like partially, it wasn't like I was like lying, but it wouldn't necessarily explain everything. And then you'd have more why questions and it'd feel more like an interrogation. And because I hadn't put myself together yet, so I was like, okay, can we talk about this in 10 minutes? Our dog is snoring in the background. Can we talk about this in 10 minutes? Can I put my stuff down? Like, because it would be as soon as I come in the door or on the phone on the way home. Like, why aren't you home yet? And so I think you worked on your tone and how you spoke. And then I also worked on like collecting myself so that I could speak well to you and answer you. And then we worked on the apology part. So I would start apologizing.
Well, you mentioned, maybe you're going to get there.
No, go ahead.
About how like there was a disconnect between what you thought
yes,
I was upset about and what I was actually upset about.
So then I think once we were communicating better, like we were communicating more clearly and kindly with one another, then I would start and like I would apologize for the thing that I thought I messed up on, the thing I was sorry for. And then you, in this scenario, so there's been other scenarios where it's the other way around, but you would then, my gosh, her whistle snores.
Wake her up.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would then apologize. I would say, I'm sorry for blank. And then that gives the opportunity for the other person to then answer back of, well, this is actually what I'm upset about. So maybe that's what you're sorry for, but that's not addressing the thing that I'm having a hard time with. And so again, this didn't go perfectly. I'm saying it like it went nicely. But that was then like the second stage of the process. I feel like we were being nicer and kinder and clearer to one another, but we still weren't on the same page.
Can you give it like the exact example though?
So I might say like, I'm sorry that
with the scenario,
with the haircut scenario.
Yeah.
Yes. So I might say, I'm sorry. I didn't know it would go longer. And then you would say back, I'm not upset that you didn't know what time it would be over. I'm just upset that the timing wasn't what you said it was. And I'd be like, isn't that what I just apologized for? And like, as the conversations continued, and this is where like, sometimes these have to have these like conversations afterwards, because if you don't understand one another, then the apology's not done yet. Like you're not ready yet to move on from the conflict. So then as we kept having the same conflict come up and the same scenario come up, and you kind of kept thinking about like, what am I actually upset about? And I started to try to notice and adjust what I was doing. We really came to the root of the problem. So for our our situation is that like you just want when the timing is not right, then it inside like upsets you. Like there's things that are thrown off.
Learning to apologize well in our marriages and our relationships, all that are around us, something to definitely take with you as you check out the full conversation of Two Become Family. Go to EWTN.com/podcast or simply subscribe to Two Become Family wherever you like to stream. That way you don't miss what's to come. I'm Ace McKay, bailing out for the rest of the week. Remember to let God define who you are, and I'll see you again with Catholics Coast to Coast.